Hello everyone, welcome to another session on Ways with Words. In this session, we are moving on to our next chapter, and that is by Dilip Chitra. Okay, and the title of the poem is The House of My Childhood. It's a very small and short, simple poem. It is very easy for us to understand the poem. Before I move on to the poem, I would like to give you a kind of a very small and brief introduction about the writer. Dilip Chitre or Dilip Purushottam Chitre is basically an Indian writer, okay, and is from Maharashtra. And you can see that he's a bilingual writer. Bilingual means he writes both in English and also in Marathi, and you can also see that he's related to film also. So in that area of film also is quite very popular. And the poem, you can see, is like a very simple reflection of his childhood. Okay, he writes about his own where he has in fact spent his childhood, the place with his grandmother, or you can say the grandmother's house. And it's like a kind of a nostalgia where he is trying to compare, something related to something that is there in the present with that in the past. Okay, so in that sense, it's related to the poem Once Upon a Time. And you can say that the general theme of the poem, one is nostalgia. Secondly, you can say it's that comparison with of the past with the present, or something that is bygone with something that is there in the present. So he is nostalgic about the things of the past, especially the love and the presence of his grandmother. Okay. The poem is divided into three stanzas. In the first stanza, he is trying to place the house. Okay, he's trying to locate the house or place the house, and he's telling us like it is on a gray hill. Okay, gray. Again, gray. It resembles the desolation. Okay, it's not that the green a hill. Rather, it's a gray hill. So green is always refers to something that is prosperous, but here it is not there. Okay. Then another in the next stanza, he says like what exactly are the things that are left behind. Okay, and towards the end in the last stanza, he says that he is the only person who is up there, an elderly infant. He is left alone in that house. So first stanza he places the house. In the second stanza he describes the house and what exactly he feels when he's there. And lastly, he places himself, there. How exactly he is there, that is what we see in the last stanza. Okay, so if I summarize, if I try to summarize through some passages, it will be like this. We'll quickly go through the poem. Okay, so here begins the poem. The house of my childhood stood empty on a grey hill, all its furniture gone except my grandmother's grindstone and the brass figurines of her god. So here you can see that few things are important in this stanza. One, the house of my childhood, it stood empty on a grey hill. So grey hill, remember grey hill, it is empty first of all, and secondly it's on a grey hill. And then all the furniture gone except what exactly are the things that are left behind. Grandmother's grindstone, which is no longer in use, and brass figurines of her gods. God is also not that is something that is necessary. So all the things that can be taken out of the home are in fact being taken by people. And what are the things that are left behind? We have got many advanced versions of grindstone, so there is no need of this old highly tiresome kind of a thing called grindstone, so that is left behind. And her gods are left behind, that is not needed by the new generation. Okay, so then next stanza. After the death of all birds, bird cries still fill the mind. After the city's erasure, a blur still peoples the air. in the colorless crack that comes before morning, in a place where nobody can sing. Words distribute their silence among intricately clustered glyphs. So again, the description of that particular house, death of all birds, because with the death of the grandmother, there is nobody to look after that. So all birds are dead, and bird cries, it's still there in my mind, because it is, in fact, I have related that with my grandmother, and maybe because of that, the bird cries are still, it still fill the mind. Okay, and after the city's erasure, a blur still peoples the air, just like, even you have, erase, completely demolish the city, there is a kind of a thing that actually stays back in the mind of people, like that, even after death of my grandmother, even after the death of all the birds that she used to look after, I can still feel that cries of the birds. Okay, because I have associated with that freshness, or I can say that greenness of my grandmother. Then in the colorless crack that comes before morning, the cracks have become colorless. Okay, because it has become something that is less important right now. So that is what the poet says. The place has become desolate and empty, and a reflection of that is even in the nature. Okay, in a place where nobody can sing, I can still sense the sound, I can still listen, I can still hear the sound of the birds. Okay, words are in fact distributing their silence among intricately clustered glyphs. Glyphs means, something that is a symbol, you can say, in its general sense. Okay, so there are so many remains, marks of my grandmother that is there in that house, and yet, what I can actually sense out there is like, words are, in fact, there are so many things that are being told to me when I am there in that house, but they are in fact distributing their silence. Okay, so altogether the feeling is something that can be called as desolation. Okay, yet the poet, it actually fills his mind, the mind of the poet. And the last answer, my grandmother's voice, she was on a bare branch. There is a bare branch, even the branches are bare, everything is like empty and bare, because everything, the thing that actually used to give richness to all this was my grandmother, and she is no more. Okay, so her voice, she was on a bare branch. I toddle around the empty house, even the house is empty, just like as a toddler I have been once. I toddle around the house. Spring and summer are both gone. Spring and summer, it actually symbolizes his childhood, his that, beauty and peak period, and he is almost in his autumn right now. Okay, leaving an elderly infant to explore the rooms of age. My spring period, my summer period is already over, and I am left behind in this empty house as an elderly infant. Every moment I come here, I feel like I am still an infant. Okay, and I am compelled to explore the rooms of age. Every room is like a kind of an age right now. Okay, it's like another entry into another age. It is an addition to my age. So I am left alone here and lost in the memories of my grandmother.